Taylor Swift is a link builder. There were rumours that she would get engaged. Our client said, let's give them a free wedding venue. And then we got them 50 links. That's digital PR.
Managing multiple clients or large websites? Automate your SEO with Ali AI. Start your free trial now.
Wix Studio, one end-to-end web creation platform for your agency to deliver exceptional work with absolute efficiency.
Good afternoon all, my name's Duncan and I work for a company called Spike and I'm here to talk about the elephant in the room when it comes to news publishers, ChatGPT. I'm going to look at things from a product management point of view, quite top line in terms of my takeaways today. So before we launch into ChatGPT, I want to introduce you to Victoria Shi. Victoria Shi is the world's first AI spokesperson. She's a digital representative for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for the Ukraine. She speaks 30 languages, she doesn't sleep, she doesn't eat, she doesn't take a wage, and most importantly, they've got the correct number of fingers and thumbs. So in her first address on social media, let's hear from Victoria now.
Dear members of the media and the public, I welcome you. My name is Victoria Shi. I have been created by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine using artificial intelligence to provide you with timely and high-quality information on consular affairs. I am a digital person. That means that the text you hear was not read by a real person. It was generated by artificial intelligence. I will carry out a number of tasks. First and foremost, I will inform the public, providing timely and verified information from Ukraine's consular service. I will provide journalists with updates about the work of consuls in protecting the rights and interests of Ukrainian citizens abroad. At the bottom corner of this video, you can see a QR code. It leads to the official website of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, where the text of this statement is posted. The only original videos with my statements are those that contain such a code and a link to the official website of the ministry with the same comment in the text form. With my appointment, we are taking a step into the future. I look forward to our fruitful cooperation.
Okay, so when I was doing my research into journalism across the summer, this example really resonated with me. I really loved the fact that all of the text was created by the MFA, it was human-created text, and then augmented with the Talking Heads AI and Victoria Shi. But what you may ask, has this got to do with news SEO and ChatGPT? Well, we're told by big tech leaders like Bill Gates that personal agents in the future are going to become our major route into the accessing of information, and that they're going to be proactive and they're going to make suggestions for all sorts of things. And if that's the case with news, then we all want the truth, right? So in the last 12 months, I've shared pieces of content online with friends and have ended up to be fake news, misinformation, and it made me feel a bit stupid. And so my first takeaway today is that evidence in authenticity is going to be massive, and that something like a simple QR code can provide lots of trust, and that I'll come on to some other examples in terms of fact checking, but I'm really passionate about the fact that I think that really good news brands will evidence authenticity. So in terms of my talk today, I'm going to talk about the network effects of ChatGPT that we're seeing, impact of large language models, how we can adapt and how we can evolve from a product management perspective with news publishers. So ChatGPT was launched in November 2022. I can remember it quite vividly, quite excited to jump on and throw in some prompts, but only like under 2 years and lots has happened in that time frame. So we saw the world's first AI consumer brand from a global perspective. There's a threat to Google with instantly forcing their hand into the search generative experience, most recently AI overviews in May 2024, and then most recently with the core search update in August, accelerating logged out views, and in certain kind of pockets, seeing more impressions with AI overviews. Certainly a threat to content creators in terms of copywriters, news companies, and a threat to large language models, ironically, themselves, with tens of scraping lawsuits, which we'll move on to later. The impact to marketing was threatening. So this quote from Sal Altman saying, 95% of AI will be able to do what marketers, creatives, and marketing agencies do. But I have a lot of people that say to me, well, none of my friends or family use ChatGPT. What's the big deal? Well, Google was launched in 1998, and at the time there were lots of search engines, and I had a little bit of nostalgia thinking back to, back in the day, what was my preferred search engine, and it was Alta Vista, and it's pretty shit. And then we fast forward a year on from then, the marketing department that I was working in at the time, my colleague said, why are you using Alta Vista? You need to jump on Google. And from that point, in terms of accessing information, I didn't look back. Why would you? ChatGPT is seeing network effects. They got to 1 million users within 5 days and 100 million users within 2 months, faster than any other digital platform. And you might have come across these figures, but I think it's important to go back and realize what's happening in a small time frame. Each wave increases adoption. So this is a simple graph of plotting brand search via Google worldwide searches. Each time there's an update in terms of marketing and the training models and ChatGPT getting stronger, we see a spike in brand search. Personal assistants for news are at an early stage. So in the UK, according to the Reuters Institute study here, only 2% of people in the UK use chatbots for news. So it's an early point. There's a question mark in the long term whether it would be the right tech, full stop. Most recently, there's been a prototype, SearchGPT, catching the eager eyes for all those SEOs out there. And a build on that was this partnership with Condé Nast, where in the article on OpenAI's website, they're talking about adding in direct links to news stories. So a little bit of a hint that there might be an aggregation opportunity to get downstream traffic for news publisher websites. The network effects lead to domination. So how much change have we seen for large language models for the news industry? Well, AI overviews will rarely serve for hard news. So if the query is fresh or factual, then Liz Reed from Google here is saying they don't want to serve AI overviews. And we know from our personal kind of rank checking in AI overviews that we seldom see this in sort of like hard news, fast news. AI content production isn't new. So back in 2017, the Press Association created hyperlocal content. And to date, they've created 400,000 hyperlocal news stories from a team of only 5. Human news is seen as premium. So the United Kingdom, this survey from Statista, nearly 60% of people saying that they see human news as better than AI content. And fake AI-driven authors are going to get busted. So if you're not upfront in communicating how you're using AI in terms of whether it's talking heads with Victoria She example, or an author in this instance with Sports Illustrated that was unannounced, this can create really bad negative PR, so it's very much a no-no. However, Gen Z mind less if AI content authorship is disclosed. And we can see now a growing amount of AI content in the top 10 SERPs. This stands to reason as the large language models in terms of the front end of an application like ChatGPT get stronger, and then things like custom GPTs, and then newsrooms getting equipped to use machine learning in-house. Half of news publishers think that they make very little money from the licensing deals. And we know from talking anecdotally to news companies that they agree with this. So, onto the licensing deals themselves. So, a whole raft of massive media players having partnerships announced with OpenAI. A couple to note, so News Corp, which was announced this year, a $250 million 5-year deal for accessing their content. And then Time Inc., So Time Inc. have got an archive of boasting 101 years of content. It's pretty mad that they're then passing over to OpenAI. So some big deals there. And then on the flip of that, we've got lawsuits and lots of American regional titles, Mumsnet in there. And I think the one that gets the most column inches is the New York Times. And so that falls into 3 buckets in terms of tens of charges. Firstly, was there infringement on copyright? Secondly, is there verbatim text that's going into the training model? And then thirdly, as a user, if I go into ChatGPT and put a prompt in, do I then see verbatim text or close to verbatim text coming out that's a duplicate from the New York Times? And then content creators themselves. So this is a YouTuber last month that has then sued and is issuing a lawsuit to OpenAI. This is an interesting one because Google allow access. They get access to the YouTube videos and scrape those videos for training themselves. So YouTube can't issue a lawsuit to OpenAI, whereas the YouTuber can. This comes from an interesting resource called PaleWire, and what PaleWire do is there's around about 1,100 news websites, and they just check daily the robots.txt file of news publishers all across the world. And we can see a bit of a divided picture here, so blocking OpenAI, Google AI, and Common Crawl. And so OpenAI is blocked 53% of the time at the moment, and this will update, as I say, daily. And in recent months, there's been the odd company that's changed their approach to this. But overall, what we're seeing is a divided response. No one really knows what to do. And in 2023, we saw companies coming out and explaining, we are blocking large language models from accessing our content. From a brand perspective, from a reputational perspective, we're not sure about this, so we're going to say no. This is just a little in-house thing that we did. So we were checking the keyword UK news in Google News, and we checked it hourly for 5 days, and we brought back these domains. And at the time in January, 57% of the web content that we could see in the news carousels was blocking ChatGPT. We then ran that in August, and we could see 89% of the top ranking Google News content was blocking ChatGPT. And that was Al Jazeera and newscientist.com that changed their approach. So still, in the here and now, a year later, there's still companies, do we need to let the scraping go on or not? So how can we adapt? I think that AI voice cloning, it gets, it's quite high profile as an area, and it's set to grow. And I really like this example from a Norwegian media company called Schibsted. And what they'd identified from a product management point of view is that there's an increased use of headphones. So sound buds specifically, and then more specifically that in terms of brand, AirPods. And so the fact that people are using AirPods and sound buds more meant that they could expand into markets by adding clone voice to read text articles. And so they had a TV host and some other well-known people that they used to train for the voices, and so all their articles have the voices on it. It's a nice brand build. The opportunity of data journalism, with machine learning is going to really explode, and so I like this example from the Washington Post. So they discovered that most immigration-related ad spending happens in states far away from the Mexican border. And then focusing on social channels alongside website and app, and how can you create a monetization strategy for your social channels alongside website and app. So how can we evolve? These are my 6 takeaways. So the first one I've already talked about, which is evidencing authenticity. So journalism is all about accuracy and facts, and this is a nice example from Read Write. So all of their articles have a nice author kind of block at the top. They also have fact checked by another independent person. And I think that's the type of thing as a consumer of news that I would really love to see. And we can see that with the BBC Verify programme. And This is about transparency and showing that you're an advocate of, preventing and blocking disinformation. Journalism is about accuracy and facts. As I say, the QR code pushing back to your website to say, we are liable for this content. Invariably, the buck stops somewhere, and it normally stops with a human at the moment. Investigative content must be human. So journalism is about surprise, and storytelling is a nice example from a website that we work on, which is Football 365. Irrespective of your opinions and views of how England did in the Euros, they write about football hour in, hour out, day in, day out. So they've got their opinions, they're going to tell that story, and that's what entices people in. That's what shows that value. And this is a nice exclusive, so I don't know if we've got any Arsenal fans amongst the crowd, but this is before the season started, so ex-Arsenal footballer Emmanuel Petit coming out and saying that he thinks that Arsenal could win the Premier League this season. Maybe he's right. But we know from experience that exclusives can really pop nicely on Google Discover, so making sure you tick off those brilliant basics with this type of quality journalism. And focusing on monitoring and optimizing news aggregation, so places like Apple News, Outbrain, Flipboard, maybe SearchGPT if they move that out of prototype, and then testing and refining like Mr. Beast. So, can you monitor and drive more traffic from these types of platforms? The next talk from Joe about podcasts, I'm really looking forward to that. But I think that podcasts and clone voice will become increasingly important. I think that there really is something in tapping into that audience of people that have AirPods in their ears all the time. I know my eldest teenager, he's always constantly got them. He wears them in the shower. It's crazy. But podcasts, it's a great thing to tap into. So this example of William presenting the FYI show, they then augment that with an AI character called Fiona. This is the type of thing that is exciting, tech-minded people, and I think it sets a really nice kind of brand ethos. The podcast ad market is set to grow massively, so tapping into that podcast ad revenue, it's all good stuff. And then I think with marketing, there can be a real thing of old and new, and a lot of talk of things dying and everything. So I think email marketing, segmenting as part of your first party strategy is a really nice tactic. So audience-led email marketing, this example of football.london. So what's better than subscribing for football news, getting regionalised football news? What's better than regionalised football news would be club-specific football news. And so I think that there's a lot in ticking these things off and making sure from a product perspective you get these things done. Driving clicks from socials is in decline. I think the biggest reason for this that I've seen is that Facebook is driving less clicks to news platforms, and it stands to reason that from a product perspective, a social media platform is there to keep people on the platform and provide recommendations, but those recommendations can get them into hot water if it's about controversial news or maybe news that's a little bit off in terms of facts. So that's everything that I've got. I'm going to stick my slides on LinkedIn a little bit later, but hopefully news publishers, you're ready to smash the world of news journalism. Thanks very much.
Monthly reporting making you want to shove sharp things up your nose? Try Dragon Metrics, the all-in-one SEO software with mind-blowing reporting tools.